understand more about the Ark and its whereabouts, we need to look into a very special claim made by a man named Yeshua in Hebrew, and later known as Jesus, or in English Jesus. He is also referred to as Christ or Messiah. Yeshua lived around 30 AD. In fact, time as we know it is centered around his birth. It's divided into BC and AD, and he is the most famous Jewish teacher who ever lived. This man, Yeshua, claimed to be the same person that spoke to Moses on Mount Sinai, meaning he would have a right to the Ark. Yeshua claimed that he was one with the Father, but he also made several other claims that caused a rage against him at that time. Witnesses have written down what Jews said to him in contempt. Art thou greater than our father Abraham, which is dead, and the prophets are dead? Who makest thou thyself? Thou art not yet 50 years old, and hast thou seen Abraham? Where Yeshua replied, Verily, verily, I say unto you, before Abraham was, I am. The use of I am caused the Jews to pick up stones in a attempt to stone him to death, and I'm going to explain why. We're going to look at this in this episode, what Yeshua claimed, and if he has any claim on the throne, the Ark of the Covenant. Now, I'm not going to claim to know the complex and complete nature of the Supreme God and the man who claimed to be his beloved Son, so I won't try to explain too much. I'm only going to share the places from Scripture that might support Yeshua's statement of having existed before Abraham. Was Yeshua being blasphemous, or did God allow someone to carry his name and authority and to be worshipped? When Moses was told to call the people of Israel out of Egypt, he heard a voice from a burning bush saying he was the God of his forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. But Moses wanted to know his name, and Moses said unto God, Behold, when I come unto the children of Israel, and shall say unto them, The God of your father hath sent me unto you, and they shall say to me, What is his name? What shall I say unto them? And God said unto Moses, I am that I am. And he said, Thus shalt thou say unto the children of Israel, I am hath sent me unto you. Hayav means to exist, and he also gave them the name with a similar meaning, Yahweh Elohim. Yahweh means self-existent or eternal. Elohim means supreme judge. This name contains a description and a function. When the world and man was created, it says, And God said, Let us make man in our image after our likeness, indicating that someone else was involved in the creation of the world. In the New Testament, John, an apostle that supports Yeshua, writes, In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. The same was in the beginning with God, and all things were made by him, and without him was not anything made that was made. He was in the world, and the world was made by him, and the world knew him not. He states that the Word was Yeshua. He continues by saying, No man hath seen God at any time. The only begotten Son, which is in the bosom of the Father, he hath declared him. Yeshua claimed to be the one who came in the name of God, and that he would leave his chosen people, because they didn't receive him, until they confessed the following. Behold, your house is left unto you desolate, and verily I say unto you, ye shall not see me until the time come when ye shall say, Blessed is he that cometh in the name of the Lord. When the soldiers came to arrest Yeshua in the Garden of Gethsemane, the following happened. Jesus, therefore, knowing all things that should come upon him, went forth and said unto them, Whom seek ye? They answered him, Jesus of Nazareth. Jesus said unto them, I am. And Judas also, which betrayed him, stood with them. As soon then as he had said unto them, I am, they went backward and fell to the ground. He said, I am, the same phrase used to explain Moses who he was, and instantly they fell to the ground. So obviously something divine or supernatural happened here. When we read the Bible, we see in several places how angels refused to receive worship, except for the fallen cherub, who wanted Yeshua to bow down before him, showing the great importance of such an act. But throughout the Bible, we see someone called the angel of the Lord, who, unlike the other angels, accept that he is worshipped. So there is a clear difference between being a messenger from God and the one that cometh in the name of the Lord. One example is when Abraham is told to sacrifice his son Isaac, but was stopped at the last minute. And the angel of the Lord called unto him out of heaven and said, Abraham, Abraham. And he said, Here am I. And he said, Lay not thine hand upon the lad, neither do thou anything unto him. For now I know that thou fearest God, seeing thou hast not withheld thy son, thine only son, from me. Here it is claimed Abraham did it for God's sake, and then afterwards the angel of the Lord said he did it for his sake. If it was just an ordinary angel, he would have said, Seeing thou hast not withheld thy son, thy only son, from him, or from God, but he said, me. Abraham met with this special angel of the Lord earlier, where he called him the judge of all the earth. When the parents of Samson met the angel of the Lord, they asked him for his name and got the reply. And Manoah said unto the angel of the Lord, What is thy name, that when thy sayings come to pass we may do thee honor? And the angel of the Lord said unto him, Why askest thou thus after my name, seeing it is secret? And Manoah said unto his wife, We shall surely die, because we have seen God. And there is also other stories like this connecting the angel of the Lord to the name of God and to God. About Messiah it was prophesied, For unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulder, and his name shall be called Wonderful, Counselor, the Mighty God, the Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace. And the increase of his government and peace there shall be no end, upon the throne of David and upon his kingdom, to order it and to establish it with judgment and with justice from henceforth even forever. The seal of the Lord of hosts will perform this. Someone would reign on earth with God's name and titles. I don't know why God has done it this way, or how big the universe is, or how many planets with being he's protecting, and why. All we know is what the Bible actually says. Yeshua says it's been given him to sit on God's throne, and am set down with my Father in his throne. So let's assume the New Testament is correct. Then this is how it all happened. God created the world through I Am and gave him the right to govern on earth in his name. We learn that he, called the Lord, meets with Adam and walks in the Garden of Eden until one day man had sinned. Adam and Eve hid from him just like a child hides from its parents when knowingly having done something wrong. They separated themselves from him. They did. Then the Lord personally clothed them with animal skin. The first animal was sacrificed, and the first humans were clothed with the sacrifice, perhaps symbolizing how the Lord, unable to take away their sin and nakedness that followed it, one day would provide through his sacrifice to clothe man with his own righteousness. His action was prophetic of what he would suffer to save man. Sin gets worse and worse, and in the end Noah is the only man the Lord can meet with and speak to without him perishing of fear. Later he shows himself as a wanderer or an angel of the Lord and speaks to an elected people who are able to face him because they respect his law and are obedient to him. They are not in rebellion, and therefore they receive him. As it was written about Abraham, they who did not rebel or continue rebelling could meet him, although the Lord was hiding his divine glory in the form of an angel. The Lord then uses different people to represent him to others in an attempt to get the message of turning from their ways and to be reconciled with God through to man. He meets with Moses in a burning bush, hiding himself. But Moses loves God and humbles himself becoming the first in a long time to be able to actually see the Lord and speak to him face to face. But still he was hiding in the appearance of an angel. But Moses wanted to see him as he really was. I beseech thee, show me thy glory. And he was allowed to see parts of his glory. But the people, still not having love and God's law in their hearts, wouldn't even hear his voice without trembling. The Lord tried to speak to them directly, but they became so frightened and chose Moses to be their mediator. They said, "Speak thou with us, and we will hear, but let not God speak with us, lest we die." Not only did they fear to hear the Lord, but also to see him. Therefore they were warned that they could not see him without perishing. Man was so corrupted that they could not physically bear it, but Moses, who was faithful, could. The glow on Moses' face after being with the Lord was too much for them to bear, and they covered Moses' face so they did not have to look at the Lord's mediator either. Until Moses had done speaking with them, he put a veil on his face. Later, the Lord was dwelling between the cherubims above the mercy seat, the name of God in the shape of the Lord, hidden from the people of Israel in a cloud of smoke by day and a pillar of fire by night. But the children of Israel wanted a king in their own flesh, one of worldly majesty, and they asked for a king. Hearken unto the voice of the people in all that they say unto thee, for they have not rejected thee, but they have rejected me, that I should not reign over them. As time went by, men kept putting people in between themselves and the Lord, creating greater and greater distance to the Lord's presence. God's task of showing man his character and his fatherly love became nearly impossible. How can you reach someone who's too afraid to listen, too afraid to come to him? How could God reveal himself to us all, both good and bad? How could he meet with the transgressors and get close to them to help them repent? This is the claim found in the New Testament. The Lord gave away all his majesty and divinity and did the risky task of being born into the world as a little child. An angel told Mary to call him Yeshua, which means Yahweh saves. For like the time in the Garden of Eden, the Lord could again walk amidst the children of men. Now in the flesh of man, and his glory being gone, he was able to look both good and evil in the eyes and tell them about his Father, whose name he carried. Both their love for them, their solution for them, and that he had planned with God a salvation for them if they only would turn from their wicked ways. Now that the divine wasn't apparent, man's fear not overwhelming, many would still not hearken to the message from the mediator, and instead of hiding from him, they planned to kill him, which also they did.